I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on.
Yeah, against this right back, Charlie.
Because you always use that active and defending. I think it's like. Because you always use that active and defending. I think it's like.
People deluded, I'm back again.
Come on, Ian, man. Come on. Come on, Ian. Big up Ian right every time, and all of you lot tuned in, whether you're on Twitter, Twitch, or YouTube. If you're on YouTube, do me a favor, smash the like button. Twitch gang, if you don't want any ads, then you need to use Amazon Prime, Twitter, One Love. Make sure you're cross-following. Links are in the description. As usual, I hope you're doing well and safe. I hope you're in good spirits. I hope you and your family are in good health. People deluded, I'm back again. I don't know if I said the slogan, but yeah, man. Happy Monday to you lot. Hope you lot have started the week in the best possible way. Hopefully our football team starts the week in the best possible way. And it's a big week for Arsenal Football Club. Forgive me if I'm wrong, but obviously we're playing Sheffield United away today. We will be doing a watch along for that. We kick off at 8 p.m, so I'll be live from 7 p.m. And then I believe on Saturday we've got Brentford. So we've got a big week, 6 points. And we're going to get into what Mikel Arteta has had to say, but it's as simple as that. We need to win all our games, people. It's as simple as that, if I'm completely honest with you. And even that might, in theory, not be enough, really. We need to go game by game, keep working hard and see where it takes us. Now, I don't look at the league table. I don't know if this is real, people, but just by getting into things, we know the dynamics. And while I would like to see Arsenal play on the Saturday and the Sunday, we know exactly what's been said. You imagine the players and Arteta, they all focused on what they need to do and what their preparations entail going into the Sheffield United game. But you do have to have one eye on Manchester City and Liverpool. Liverpool beat, one in their last game in dramatic fashion. City turned it around in the Manchester derby. Appreciative to those of you that were part of my watch along. Where we're concerned, we've got Sheffield United, with the greatest of respect to Sheffield United. Take nothing away from Arsenal's performances, but Crystal Palace were crap. We made sure that continued. West Ham were not on anything. We made sure their poor form continued. Burnley can't buy 3 points, really and truly. We made sure that continued. It's, life is very easy, but in many ways it's hard. You need to win. You need to win the games you should be winning, really. Now we know football, shockers happen, and we are getting to that time of the year where things are going on. Sheffield United are playing for pride. They're fighting for their lives down at the bottom half of the table. They're on 13 points, people, which is despicable, really. Where it comes to losses, they've lost 19. The only team that's lost more than them is Burnley. So we need to be beating this relegation fodder. They've got 1 win in 5. With the greatest of respect to Sheffield United and big up Austin Trusty, it needs to be 3-point debt collectors and nothing less. Of course, I want a barrage of goals. I want a clean sheet and some great individual performances and things like that. But I want the 3 points first. You get the 3 points first, then we talk about stuff. Now, if I put myself in Sheffield United's shoes, regardless of if they stay up, which is very unlikely, or go down, which is probably, going to be confirmed soon, long way away from getting 40 points. Arsenal, they should, if you're a Sheffield United player or a fan, Arsenal are privileged and spoiled brats in the sense of they're trying to fight for a league. Mikel Arteta's all the business, Declan Rice, Saka, Arteta, maybe even someone else. They've all been nominated for various different Premier League awards. You want to make it difficult. You want to put a spanner in the works. And if you're Liverpool, if you're City, you're definitely hoping that's the case where Arsenal's concerned. Now, if I'm Liverpool or City, my direct threat is the opposite team that I've said. It's not that Arsenal aren't a threat, but it's a 3-horse race, and I think we're third in that, really. We're reliant on things. Liverpool, obviously, top of the table. They've got the least amount of losses. They've lost twice. They know it's in their hands. They do the job, then they're in it. If you're Liverpool or City, you're hoping Arsenal drop points between Brentford and Sheffield United, then while everything won't be decided, that if you're Liverpool and you beat City and vice versa, you're in good stead, really and truly. For us, we've got a game in hand, innit? Aston Villa are not that far away from us, as you can see. You win today. Obviously, Villa, it goes down, we chase away from them. City, you put pressure as well. We need to win the games. We know we've got to play City at some point. You know, again, every game's tough, and it would be Arsenal if we beat Spurs, beat Chelsea, beat City, and then go and mess it up against someone else. We've got some big games. We've got some very big games. As you lot know, the fixture calendar list, we've got to play Brentford. That's not going to be easy. Ivan Toney's going to have an audition. Sheffield United, on paper, we should be winning, but we need to respect them, respect the occasion. And as Arteta said, earn the right to win. We know we've got to go to the Etihad, where I was watching the Manchester derby and thinking, you know, City are a great team. You know, they're a very great team. I don't necessarily think they're suffering a treble hangover and stuff, but if they are, we need to make that hangover continue really and truly. And I do think City do look by them, you know, City are still up here. They're still the big dogs. And even if, you know, they're not as good as they are, they're still light years above everyone, regardless of what the table is saying. But they do look vulnerable. Defensively, they do look vulnerable. They do look down to moments. And obviously, sometimes you need individual magic. When you've got Phil Fodenio and typically Kevin De Bruyne and Bernardo Silva and Alvarez, and we'll be here all day talking about their players, smash the like button. So we just need to give it a fight. At best, I just hope Arsenal Football Club, I don't think we're going to win the league. I don't think we're going to win the champs. That's just my honest opinion. Of course, I want to be wrong, but at least run it into May, and let it be the last 2 weeks / the last game of the season, and see what we can do. And we've actually got to go to Old Trafford, where we don't travel well. So let me know your thoughts on the title race. And obviously goal difference as well. We've got the same amount of goal difference as Liverpool. It's almost unheard of that City are behind Liverpool and Arsenal. And that maybe some of that could be attributed. In fact, it is that Haaland missed a couple of weeks and stuff. I don't think it will come down to goal difference. I just think it's just the points. And Arteta has said you need 90 points. Are we a 90 points team? I'm just being devil's advocate. I think we're a good side, but are we a 90 points team? And I think we're in that scenario where, you know, the project, everything we're doing, all the metrics. Again, I apologize for not getting a February review out. I'll give you a lot of belated one tomorrow, with the exception of what we're playing today. But, you know, when you look at our defense, our attack, the individuals, you know, we're doing some almost unheard of during the Emirates era. We're doing everything that needs to be done. We're here. Greatness, Premier Leagues, Champions Leagues, them kind of things they're up there. And we're so close, but so far. What I mean by that is we need to learn from our own mistakes, where I think we have. I do think there's just got to be that added bit of game management, that added bit of variety with the options we can pick in our squad and different tactical stuff and whatnot. And again, you know, you're not going to win every game. Some games you're going to win and play terrible. Sometimes you're going to play amazing and lose. You're not going to, that's not how football works. But I just feel personally, to my club, I think definitely the case last year and to a degree this year is, listen, City and Liverpool are big dogs, but I think the only ones that can stop us are ourselves, because, you know, on the face of it last year, there's no shame in losing out on a, you know, history is going to be very kind as it should to Manchester City. They won a treble. They did amazing things. If you look at it on that angle, I believe genuinely, then you have to hold your hands up. Sometimes destiny's decided. But I think every Arsenal fan knows, while we weren't expected to be in a title race last year, when we found ourselves in it, we bottled it. We threw it away, really. Yes, everyone will focus on the Southampton at home, the West Ham away, the Liverpool away, which showed certain naiveties that need to be eradicated. But then you look at the draws against Southampton and Brentford and things of that. You know, the VAR did us 30 at Old Trafford, but that sort of game, these are the things that are harming us. Like, look at us all season. You know, we've shown that there's a bit more grit, there's a bit more determination, there's a bit more resilience when things aren't going our way. We don't get bullied anymore, which has been the case since we joined the Emirates. But I still think we've got this element of self-capitulation. I look at the first hour against Chelsea away, definitely the North London derby. Obviously, for some reason, we couldn't put the ball in the back of the net, obviously, against West Ham. Don't know how we couldn't create against Newcastle. And we probably should have got something in the Aston Villa game. Now it's gone. The past is the past. The future's undecided. There's no time like the present. But these are the things. When these things are eradicated, or when these things become less frequent, that's when I'll truly believe that we can win league titles. We can do this. We can do that. On paper, of course, you know, fight for it. You know, at the end of the day, all that's going to be remembered if you're a footballer when you're 30, 40, even 70 and you're talking to your grandkids is about the moments you had. And it's a great reward for everybody involved that struggles with the team. So it'd be nice, man. Big up Social Joins and Kay in the cut as well. Graham, appreciate you as well. Don't forget, we're doing a watch along later today. Early goal tonight, and then we can look to add a few more goals and boost the goal difference. We'll take the tension out of the game. Obviously, it's typical, and I'm not sitting here and saying I'm watching Sheffield United, but if I'm Sheffield United, the first thing I would tell my players, if I'm their manager, is it's not that this is a free hit, because look at where they are in the league table. They need any 3 points they can get. They arguably need the 3 points more than us. We're in a privileged position in that we're talking about league titles, Premier League stability. We're not getting relegated. Them man might. So they kind of need it more than us. It's a free hit of sorts, and that if you lose, it's business as usual. If you beat Arsenal, there's a lot of things that could be written. So I don't think Arsenal are necessarily feeling the pressure and stuff, but you could look at it from that angle. And they're coming into our house. If someone comes into your house, are you going to let them rob the place or take food from your fridge without a fight? You're not. So we have to earn the right to win, man. I know the confidence and the way we've been playing and what we've been doing, you know, Arsenal fans should be talking bossy, but in life, you have to be humble. It's very sexy to see 5 wins from 5. It's a positive far cry from what we saw at the end of last year, really and truly. Big up Deluded. Hopefully we win today. Need to keep the chase on the other two. You said it there. It's as simple as that. New intro. It's been there for a couple of weeks now, but you could say fairly new. Smash the like button if you haven't, Jaden. Appreciative to you. So, yeah, man, hopefully we can do what needs to be done. On that, as I said, people, don't forget it's watch along settings. Even if you're not going to be there, please do me a favor and smash the like button. We're trying to get to 70,000. We need the likes, the comments, etc. Now, a lot of Arsenal fans, including myself, obviously form and recency bias might say something else. But if everybody's fit and we disregard anything we've seen this season, and I'm naming my strongest 11, I would love to see Declan Rice, Thomas Partey, and Martin Odegaard. It's got grit, it's got technical ability, it's got skill, it's got what we need in the engine room. Thomas Partey, unfortunately, he's a flight risk. He's not in terms of ability, he's hella reliable. In terms of all the other aspects across the course of the season, I don't even think Thomas Partey would say he's reliable. But Mikel Arteta apparently is excited by the prospect of Declan Rice and Partey playing with each other. And we need different options. There's some games for Declan Rice and Jorginho, Havertz and Rice, and Partey and Rice, or any other denomination of what you want to say. Declan Rice has been amazing since he signed for the club. But Arteta said, I'll have to see that chemistry on the pitch and those qualities and the things we have to treat around to make sure they play to their strengths and make each other better. But I think that would be a very powerful midfield, music to my ears. I think they only played in the Community Shield together in midfield. That tells you how much we've missed Thomas. And I think with a heavy heart, Arteta is getting rid of Thomas Partey, because obviously managers are not going to say a player isn't vital to my plans, but he really talks up Thomas Partey consistently. Now, whether Mikel Arteta should be building around Partey or having someone, regardless of his ability, with all the other aspects, as important to what we're trying to do, that's another debate which Arteta probably has to learn from. But he always talks up his qualities, really and truly. So we've had to do without him, really. And I think it's a thing where Arsenal and Arteta will say, you know what? We're trying to bring in other players. We brought in players for big money. We've given people new contracts. We know we're not going to get 45 million that we spent on Partey, but if we can get his wages off with all the baggage that he has, fair enough. And I think it will be with a heavy heart. To play the whole season, and a player like him has not played much with us, the impact he can have for the next 3 months can be really big. Let's just focus on the next 3 games, Mikel, man, which you'd imagine Thomas and Jesus and Zinchenko and Tomiyasu, ideally, they'd all be on the bench for today. You always ask me this question, and I never get it right. When asked how many points will be needed to win the league, he said, the demands you have to win every game. I don't know. I have no clue. There are a lot of games. We are all going to have crazy schedules, and this league might be different to last season. Anything under 90 points, I think, would be very difficult. And Arteta said that before. We need, if we're going to win a league, typically, I know some years are kinder than others, but I think we need to get into an aspect where we can genuinely say we can get 100 points. Or 90 to 100 points. The 100 is probably acting, but 90 points. Can we be a team that can get 100 goals? We're good, but can we now begin to be great? And it just feels like if we bring a couple things into this squad, a winger, a striker, centre mid, look after the depth, stop talking about these players that are injured, and just 1-2 things on top of all the great things we're doing, the Emirates could be, we could become something very serious, people. So, yeah, I don't disagree with what Mikel Arteta has said there, man. Anything less than 90 points is a myth. And he said, yes, and the target is clear. It is to be better every day so that when it comes to the weekend, earn the right to win and do everything you can to win the game. This is the focus, and the way I see them training every day gives me more confidence and more reasons to believe that we have a good chance because they really want it. It's out of our hands though, Gaffer, man. Like, all we can do is win our games and hope that City and Liverpool, the footballing gods shine on us. Yeah, man, I don't like the new Champions League format, man, but like, it is what it is, man. Like, it's silly. And when you look at what the Super League were trying to do versus what you're seeing the new format is, when you actually look, it's the same thing, essentially, bar the obvious. On Thomas Partey's fitness, Arteta has said he had a session before the last game, and now he's done 2 consecutive sessions. He should be part of the squad today. On Tomiyasu and Zinchenko, those ones are possible, but we have to wait and see, especially with the last 2 sessions that we have on Saturday and Sunday. If that's the case, they might be available on Monday, which we'll find out. On if Jesus is ready to start. Well, he's fit enough, but knowing how long he will last is something different probably. But we didn't want to take any risks after the result we had against Newcastle. Obviously, we need him fit. He's a massive player for us, and we want to make sure now we load the players in the right way. I don't think he's starting Gabriel Jesus, Partey if fit, or any of them guys. Now, Jesus obviously has taken part in a lot more training sessions than some of the other names I said. He didn't play against Newcastle, so in theory he could, but we need to manage the squad nicely. And that's one thing above the form and the goals and what we're doing. The one thing I have liked is Declan Rice has been allowed to get subbed. Saka, unheard of, has been allowed to get subbed. You know, Jesus does not have to come on, whatever you say about him. We need to look after the players, and we need all the players. I hope it's not a game where it's going very shaky for us and we have to rely on things. But in an ideal world, if we can just keep doing what we've been doing in the previous games, win the game, and these players don't necessarily have to play and they can go fight into another day, great. Because Jesus, Partey, Zinchenko, Tomiyasu, and everybody else, you know, with the exception of Timber, because he's had a mad injury. I don't care what you lot do. You don't need to make sure you're there for the Old Trafford trip at the end of the season. You don't need to make sure you're there for the Etihad. You need to be there for Chelsea, and you need to be there in the North London derby. You need to be there Brighton away. Keep it moving, people. So yeah, that's what he said. We all know about the difficulties that Sheffield United could potentially pose, but you know, I think I've gone through this, but if you haven't heard, they're a really difficult team to beat. I've watched 4 or 5 games now with the City game, the way they started against Aston Villa, and obviously the game took a different route. But as you mentioned, they're extremely well coached. I know Chris really well, and I admire his teams. A lot of things that he does with them. It will be a Monday night. It will be Monday night football, and it's going to be a tough night. You'd imagine they're going to be rigid. They're going to be, you know, they're going to be compact. They're going to try their best not to let us play football, etc., and try and take advantage of any mistakes or mishaps or moments of brilliance that they're able to provide or exploit people. Teams fighting relegation are scary, regardless of what you say. On paper, should be washing the floor with them. I imagine that it's really tough for them and their ambitions are different, but it's really important. I imagine when you are there, you want to get out of there as quickly as possible. We have a lot to play for as well. It's going to be a big game. On the difference and the importance of goal difference, yes, for sure, it's an important element there. First of all, you have to earn the right to win the games. We want to be ruthless and efficient in front of goal. And I think lately we've been really good. Obviously, we've spoken about saving injuries. We all know how much of a big month March is. He's spoken about Timber's recovery, and I'm sure you would have seen if you follow Arsenal on social media that Timber's taking part in training, but let's just be calm. And he's talked up his leadership qualities. We all know in March there'll be a gap with the Chelsea game being postponed, and we're going to have to find a way to get over that. He also bigged up Kirill as well. So we just need to get the job done, man. We need to just get the job done. It's as simple as that. There has been some rumors on social media that Arsenal are going to go through a recruitment drive and bring through some really top talents from other clubs. Apparently, big up the secret scout here, said Arsenal have made an offer for Wolves under 17 Braden Clark. The Welsh centre-back has already said his goodbyes, with Arsenal likely to be his destination. There was interest from 4 other Premier League clubs. Allegedly, he's the son of ex-pro Nigel Quasey. So you must be quite decent. And, you know, if you can progress to the first team, great. If we can sell you for a profit and put that back into the club, amazing stuff, because I do think we've been underplaying Hayland in that regards for a while. Fabrizio Romano has spoken on Gyokeres. Is that how you pronounce his name? It's definitely not Gyokeres. He said, although there are many clubs that are attentive to Viktor at the moment, none have made a move as of yet. Nothing is happening now. It's one for the summer. His conditions are he has a €100 million release clause. Then we'll see what happens in the summer. But we know how difficult it is to negotiate with Portuguese clubs. I mean, he's probably under contract for a decent length of time. You know, they've just bought him as well, Sporting. I mean, if you spend €100 million and he's great. But you might think, yeah, he's done it at Coventry, he's done it at Sporting, but the case study isn't the biggest. Does it make sense putting that money down? So I don't think he will go for 100 million. If he does, fair enough. We've seen, 50 odd million on Sigurdsson. We've seen many a player go for big funds. Many clubs have also sent their scouts to watch him. Arsenal for sure multiple times, but also others are closely monitoring the situation. So naturally, if us and other teams want to sign a striker, you're naturally going to keep assessing and looking at striker targets and things like that. So that's nothing new under the sun. Rafa Leao, who this weekend was linked with a move to Arsenal. Primarily, he's been linked with a move to PSG and some other clubs. My future is very clear. It's here at AC Milan. I'm under contract for the next 4 years. AC Milan helped me in difficult moments, and I won't forget that. I want to win again at Milan. My focus is here. So unless you've got big money that could tempt plans, he's not going nowhere. Once again, Arsenal are reportedly interestingly following the sporting striker Viktor with greater interest ahead of the summer transfer window. Apparently, he's got 31 goals and 11 assists in 34 appearances. Regardless of whatever league you're doing that in, that's great. And you'd imagine Sporting Lisbon are going to make a handsome profit on the 21 million euros they initially spent, people. So we'll have to see what's going on there. You'd imagine Eddie Nketiah's days at the club, unfortunately, are numbered. Kai Havertz is ahead of you. Trossard's ahead of you. Obviously, a fit Gabriel Jesus is ahead of you. If we bring in another striker, it's Pete. But, you know, if Eddie Nketiah has been linked with Fenerbahce, Palace, Brentford, if he's someone that can bring fees into the club, then it is what it is. He could, whatever you say about Eddie, he can leave with his head held high, in my opinion, really. You know, he's worn the number 14. He's been in around the first team. He's won an FA Cup. Just your story needs to end, really and truly. He does look great, man. It will be a combative game against Sheffield United for the first half. I wouldn't expect anything less than that, man. Managed to catch the Sporting versus Benfica game, and I don't think we could go wrong by signing Gyokeres and João Neves. Honestly, the young centre mid, I like him a lot, man. I think he lost his mother as well recently, and he scored a goal and dedicated it to her as well, man. So RIP his mum. I think he's keeping Jesus for the Porto Champions League game. Bro, I even forgot about the Champions League. We need all our players fit. And next season, I'm not naive. I don't think, you know, you just wave a magic brush and these things are gone. But I do think there's only so far we can go as a football club when key players consistently get injured. I'm not saying to sell them. I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just saying, you know, whatever you say, Zinchenko's a key player. Jesus is a key player. Partey's a key player. Tomiyasu's a key player. Fabio Vieira is part of the squad. Jorginho picks up knocks. You know, Reece Nelson's on the peripheral, but he picks up knocks. You know, a lot of our players get injured a lot frequently more than others. And again, people get injured, but it's not really sustainable, really and truly, if I'm completely honest. Again, injuries happen. Got a feeling Eddie starts tonight. You could say that, you know, it could be a game for Eddie and maybe Smith Rowe, but, you know, and we should have enough to get over it. But what I would say is we are not in a position of luxury. We can't afford to drop any points. The 30 players need to go out there with the greatest of respect. The strongest team that Arteta has named in his last recent games, or if you put a gun to his head, the strongest team with what he's got available, you know, if you asked him to name it, that's what's got to go out there. We need the 3 points. I would love for everyone to get suitable minutes and everyone to be happy, but we need to confirm 3 points. And this is going to be the theme week in, week out. We need 6 points this week. I know there's a reality where we could win all our games and still not win the league. We could drop points and still win the league and all of these things, but we need to take all our points. Every week, this is going to be said, like, we need to take all our points. I personally think it's almost mission impossible. I think, honestly, the only time we can't drop points on paper without knowing how life is going to unfold is Manchester City. And again, we've got to play Chelsea. We've got to go to Spurs away. We've got to go to Old Trafford. We've got to go to Brighton even. You know, there's some difficult games, man. What do you think of Sesko DG with his price tag? Potentially, we could get a winger like Williams on top of it. He's very raw, but I think Sesko would be great. I always talk about him. I like the variety in his runs. You know, I like the variety in his runs. I like his hold-up play. I like his physical stature. A lot of fine-tuning to be done, but I like him a lot. And like you said, you know, when you're seeing 40, 50 million euros, I don't know if, you know, if he was to sign a Vlahovic or Osimhen and Ivan Toney, I think immediately they're more likely to impact us immediately from the moment of signing for the club. But you could argue that, you know, if you get a Ferguson, a Sesko, these kind of younger bracket strikers, they could grow with the team and present resale value. Not that I necessarily care about resale value. I'm interested in my club winning stuff, not accountancy stuff. He'll probably go with Trossard up front. I think it's a game for Havertz, you know. If I'm completely honest, I think Havertz, obviously form is dictating a lot of what I'm saying, but I just think Havertz looks like he's going for a decent run. Obviously, you know, Sheffield United, they're a very physical team. Havertz can do that. I think you go, if it's not Havertz, I'm starting Jesus, but I think Havertz has got to go there. The only change I could see happening, you could play Trossard, you know. You never know. It all depends how fit Arteta reckons Jesus is, because you could imagine Jesus goes up top, Jorginho's on the bench, even though I would like to see Rice and Jorginho. You could imagine, for me, Havertz goes back into the left 8, so he's next to Declan Rice and Odegaard in midfield. Jesus up front. And I think Martinelli would start, but you could argue, you know, you and Trossard, it's a toss-up, really. You could argue Trossard off the left, if I'm honest with you. Havertz, Rice and Timber all had near perfect fitness records from previous clubs. Hopefully it continues, you know, because we don't have many durable players, you know. Havertz doesn't get injured. Obviously, anyone can get injured, but Havertz, you bet your bottom dollar he's going to stay fit. Rice, the same. I'd throw Saka into that. I know he missed the City game. I'd throw Odegaard into that. I know he had a concussion, but generally, Saliba had an injury last season, but typically he's there. I think Saliba is actually the only player I think that's played every minute in the Premier League for us. Saliba, Gabriel, Benjamin White, obviously Ramsdale and Raya, Martinelli as well. Throw him in there. I might be missing out 1 or 2 players, but other than that, there's not really players that you could bet on are going to be fit for the majority of the season. Gyokeres, João Neves, Nico Williams, plus a versatile fullback would be a 10-10 summer. I hear that, man. That would be good. They could all grow with what we're doing. Havertz can start in the 8 and Trossard should start in the 9. I hear it, and I think you're not wrong. And it's one where smash the like button, people. Can we get to 100 likes? It's one where I'm happy I'm not Mikel Arteta, people, but and I do think you can make changes and winning, but being devil's advocate, if it's not broke, do you need to fix it? We finally, because again, it feels like such a long time ago and it shows you how quick football moves. We just come off a terrible December. We're getting 3 points. We're in a good run. Sometimes I do believe you've got to play on these players' form. Like Havertz is looking good. Jorginho's looked all right. Everybody's ticking. To be fair, everyone's looking all right. Should you just name the same lineup? I'm not sure. I'm just asking. Just me, or does Timber's build looks like it would make him more prone to injuries, especially after a long-term injury? I don't know, man. Timber just looks like a physical man to me. I don't know. He just looks like an athlete to me. I don't know, Fuad, man. You'd have to ask someone else, but I think he's fine. Naturally, obviously, there's going to be that question. Is Timber going to have the same acceleration? Is he going to play to the same standard? Typically, when you get these long-term injuries en route back to your return, you do pick up a couple of knocks. Timber strikes me as a very strong mental individual, but the physical wounds will heal. Mentally, what's going on there? And you're going to have to give him time to get up to scratch. He's going to be rusty. You'd imagine he's going to be penciled in at some point to play some minutes for our under-21s. And then hopefully he's back, man. He's been named in the Champions League squad. Maybe that's just because we can. Maybe it's a bit of optimism. But maybe it's because we expect him back at some point. But if we don't change that scoreline against Porto, it don't matter really and truly. I think it's the same 11. But I could see Smith or Trossard coming for Jorginho since we will have the majority of the ball. That's a good comment. Well said, DG. I think our business last summer showed we are prioritizing quality players with significantly better fitness records. And we need to do that, man. Like the best trait you can have is being available. Damn, this is our last chance to win the Champions League with this format. This is the Arsenal Football Club. It kills me that we don't have a strong European pedigree. You know, young Arsenal fans, young or old, when you say Europe, whether you're going to talk about the Europa League in recent years or the Champions League, there's been some good moments, beating Bayern Munich, beating Barcelona. For me as a young man, I'm only 28. The whole run to the 2006 final before, you know, what happened in Paris happened. But it's filled with pain, bro. It's filled with pain. Our club is too big of a club not to have a European pedigree. Chelsea went and got 2 Champions Leagues and done it in a shoddy fashion. I'm hating 100%. Subscribe and hit the like button if you haven't. Twitch and Twitter, big up. Like Europa League, pain. Champions League, pain. You know, the 10-2s. You know, one of them, the 10-2s, the numerous Barcelona games, Bayern Munich games. I would say one that sticks out to me is Man United, really, where Park Ji-sung, Rooney, Ronaldo just tore us a new one, really and truly. Even our invincible season, I'm sure we played. I was only in 2000. I was only in year 4, but I'm sure we played Chelsea and we effed up there. Bless up yourself, Alan. Timber didn't get injured at Ajax, so his playing style isn't the reason. It's just one of those. I think Timber's one is just one of those things, man. It's very unlucky, but you'd have to be a really fortunate footballer to not have a significant injury. Look at Van Dijk. Like, you're going to have it. It's like being a chef and not expecting to get your hands cut. It's unfortunate that it never happened at Ajax. Not that I want it to happen to anyone, but it never happened at Ajax. It happened 50 minutes into his first official Premier League game off the back of a great summer for him. So, yeah, Omri and remember the starting 11, bro, at the Bernabeu. Like, remember what we rocked up to the Bernabeu with? It was Buki, teenage Seth setting levels. And I remember that run with pride. Like, when we lost in the final, obviously, I'm not in this, the participation is all that counts. But I was proud of my boys because nobody gave us a chance en route to that whole thing. And it did kind of feel like it was going to be our year. Like, I'm sure Raquel may miss the penalty against Villarreal. You know, in football, when these things happen, you think, yeah, it's our time. But Arsenal, we don't get that tax. Even Spurs almost did the Champions League before us. Technically, we almost did it in 06, but big up Liverpool for making sure that's not a thing, really and truly. There's too many young G's. We need proven players. That's why I want Luiz or Zubamendi, Tony, Inacio, Neto, or Elise, or be shameless and steal Cole Palmer from Chelsea. No chance of Cole Palmer, but the biggest compliment I could give him, he's an Arsenal man in the wrong shirt, man. That Chelsea game in 04 killed me because we cooked them. That comp is not for us. Trust me, it's just a shag. And in recent years, during at the Emirates, it'd always be like the second leg we'd kind of play all right, and the first leg we'd be like, okay, cool. Yeah, bro, Wenger's 1,000th game, bro. Listen, being an Arsenal fan has not been easy. There's been some great moments, but there's also been some stress, man. There's been serious stress. That stint in the Europa League past few years needs to be scrubbed from the club's history. Embarrassing. The fact that we didn't win it, if I'm honest, embarrassing. Like, I think the season we got to the final, personally, people, I think Emre let us down in the Premier League. I think the players let him down in the final. Only Iwobi off the top of my head can say you did something in that fight. That was absolutely terrible, man. Really dark day. You know, you had that. Bro, like, you've got the numerous times we've gone out unnecessarily in the Champions League, the Champions League final, the Europa. I feel a lot worse about the Europa League final than actually that. And some of our best moments in the Champions League finals or Champions League actually have nothing to do with Arsenal Football Club. You know, them times there, Man United were the big bad bullies in the league. It was the Champions League final in Wembley was absolutely fantastic. Like the way Barcelona moved, the final in Rome was amazing. Yeah, man. You know what? Because I was there, the final, I can't remember the year, but Bayern Munich, it was definitely Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund. I'm pretty sure that was at Wembley. Just seeing Iron Rob, that guy is wavy, man, in the flesh. Absolutely wavy. 2006 Champions League final was the most pain I've ever felt. I legit wanted to quit for. It's just the way it happened. Like Sol Campbell scored. It felt like we was 10 minutes or something like that away from winning it. Now there's a red card. Almunia's letting in some Buki goals. Yeah, man. After smoking Napoli and Valencia as well. Why are we rehashing the hard times? Because the hard times make you, you know, the hard times make you, they can't break you. I don't know, man, but big up you lot. This is why I like the platform, because I don't know how we got here, but we did. So yeah, big up you lot. But yeah, you lot are making me revisit things I don't want to revisit. But yeah, if possible, for Sheffield United, I'd name the same starting 11 that's been doing the business. And obviously if people are fit and all of those things, if there were changes, I would be tempted. Like if there's any things around Jorginho, I'd put Jesus up front and Havertz in that role, in the midfield role. Trossard potentially for Martinelli. Other than that, I keep everything the same. Obviously, naturally, I'd be tempted to start Thomas Partey, but the man hasn't played for near enough 5 months. And it does, you know, is it going to be a thing where, because I'm sure he started off the season right back, then he got injured, then he was kind of nursed back to fitness against Man City, and there might have been a couple of games he was on the bench, and there was a reluctance to use Thomas Partey. I could be lying, but it felt like that. And then we've started the same kind of cycle that we see with Thomas Partey, unfortunately, in an Arsenal shirt. So just because a man's fit, there might be a reluctance to blood them in, really and truly. You know, Jesus didn't come off the bench against Newcastle. And, you know, obviously you want to see Partey, but how many minutes has he got in the tank? Maybe it's a 5 or something, because Partey is one where, even when fit, I wonder if the medical staff are ever fully confident that, yeah, he's over it. And it almost makes me look at last season as, you know, I thought at that time, Partey, like, he got over his injuries. But now, obviously, a year over, and what Hot Partey has historically been at Arsenal, was last season an anomaly, a fluke, in that he was available for 33 Premier League games, played, I think, 40 games in all comps. That's unheard of for Thomas Partey. And there has to be a correlation between, you know, Xhaka doing the business, Partey fit, amongst everything, us fighting for a league. I don't know why you got blocked, but you might have been chatting ish, man. So, yeah, man, mods, keep doing what you're doing, man. I'm still convinced we win in 2006 if we played the majority of the game with 11 men. That sending off happened too early in the game. So am I. It's to the point, Graham, I'm not going to lie. Nobody can convince. Arsenal won in 2006. If that was Football Manager or FIFA, the game starting again, we've won Champions League. You can't do that to me. Any word on Zinchenko and Tomiyasu? We went over it, but Arteta was kind of bullish about Tomiyasu and Zinchenko. But then again, he was quite coy on what he was saying, really and truly. Zinni, I expect to see Zinni today, actually. Tomiyasu, I'm not sure. Like, Tomiyasu sold me dreams. Like, it feels like such a long time ago. We was going into the West Ham game. I was like, yeah, I want Tomiyasu to play left back. Big up Kirill, but haven't seen him since, if I'm completely honest with you. So it's all peak. So yeah, man, in that. We should have a strong bench tonight. DG, what's the 11 for you tonight? Same 11 that's been out there in the last couple of games. You know, I don't know if I've actually said it, but obviously Raya, Gabriel Saliba, Benjamin White, Kirill gone, then you're in a good bit of form. You know, obviously if Jorginho's fit, Jorginho, Rice, Odegaard, I want to see that continue. Saka on the right, Havertz up front. I would probably lean towards Martinelli because I'm biased, but I do think Trossard should start. So make of that what you will, man. Smash the like button. Big up the mods, man. 142 in the chat room. Smash the like. It's free, man. It's free. Big up to you lot who have hit the like button. So yeah, man, keep your thoughts coming. That's that. As we know, Jorginho, there's talk of him signing a new outright deal rather than taking out the option to extend by a further year. But his agent has said that, you know, he's got interest from other clubs, really. And, you know, papers have linked him with Lazio, Juventus, Napoli, AC, and Inter Milan. So a move to Italy could be back on the cards. You never quite know. I think Jorginho will stay. But, you know, it's a weird one where there's a lot of moving parts, because in an ideal world, I think the club want to move Thomas Partey on in the summer. If Partey moves on, then I think Jorginho might stay. But if Jorginho says, you know what, Gaffer, I love what I'm doing. I want to go back to Italy. I want to go Saudi. I want to go Brazil. I want to do something that's not here. Then that might be Thomas Partey, really. And even Thomas Partey, he might say, I'm happy in London. I want to run down my contract and whatnot. It's going to be weird, man. There's a lot of moving parts. You know, the only one I would say 100% leaves, and I'm saying 100%, I don't really know anything, would be Ramsdale. You know, you can make a case for Smith Rowe, Eddie Nketiah, Reece Nelson, Jorginho, Thomas Partey. Obviously, Elneny and Cedric are going to cut as well. But you don't actually know. And I'm not saying but there's going to be a shock exit. But again, you don't know. There could be. Nobody expected Granit Xhaka to cut, really, unless you're probably entwined with the club at the time. Jorginho's agent said, in Serie A, I would see him better at Lazio due to the presence of Sarri, who knows his characteristics very well. Of course, also at Juventus, where there is a great sporting director with whom he lived good years at Napoli. I don't even rule out a return to Napoli with the new coach who previously worked with Sarri, but by force and tradition, I don't rule out Milan and Inter, where anyone would like to play. We'll evaluate every proposal that comes to the table, but the priority is to renewal with Arsenal because he gets on along very well with everyone. But with his contract expiring, we hope the team that wants what is best for him arrives. On the return to Italy, in the market is a bit firm and slow compared to the past. Not sure what that means. I don't know if it's a question of money and strategy, but so far, no big Serie A players have shown interest. So that might say for all the links to Juventus, AC, Inter, and all this, nobody's come forward with something. So we'll have to see. You'd imagine that there could be a reality where Jorginho, I won't quite say becomes part of Arteta's coaching staff, but you do think he's kind of being groomed to kind of do that in line with what's going on, really. Reports have also linked us once again with the young Brighton man, Ivan Ferguson. In a couple of weeks, we'll get to see firsthand what he's about, really. I mean, I need to see his birth certificate. Like, he's a big brute in it. There's no way you're 19 years of age. Like, Brighton must be just making people in the lab, because these players are popping up from Ireland, from all over South America, from Africa. You've never heard these players before. You watch them play, like, bloody hell, Brighton, what's going on here? I'm not against Ivan Ferguson, but unfortunately, I don't think we're going to get him. I think there's admiration, but I just think he's going to cost a lot of money. Brighton take everybody to the cleaners. You know, you saw what they got for Caicedo. You saw what they got for Cucurella. 50 million for Benjamin White's a great deal in hindsight and also good. But you got to remember, at the time of us buying Benjamin White, he only had 1 year of Premier League football. And again, the only guy that's kind of gone for a decent deal would probably be McAllister to Liverpool. It weren't that expensive. And you got to remember, the more money Brighton get into the club, the less that they have to sell. Obviously, football is natural. People want to move and advance their careers, people. We all know, I'm going to skip through some of this, Tosh. We all know we've been linked with Ivan Toney. We all know that Jesus and Nketiah, whether it's injuries or inconsistency, a striker has to be on the agenda. Initially, Brentford's Ivan Toney was thought to be Arsenal's top priority, and Bees manager Thomas Frank has acknowledged that the 27-year-old is likely to leave at the end of the season. However, Arsenal reportedly shifted their focus away from pursuing the former Newcastle United player in favour of younger prospects such as Ferguson, who is 8 years younger than Toney. Per Football Insider, the North London Giants are re-evaluating the potential of Brighton's 19-year-old prodigy, although they're not inclined to acquire him for a low fee. With increasingly interest in his talent, Brighton reached a new agreement with Ferguson's reps in November. As per his current contract, the Republic of Ireland international will remain under Brighton's contract until 2029. So he's going to cost a lot of money, man. He's going to cost a lot of money, really and truly. Apparently, Arsenal have also been linked with his teammate, João Pedro. He's Brazilian, so why not? But I'd rather the Irish brother, if I'm completely honest with you. I like Ivan Ferguson. Reminds me a bit of a throwback striker, and he looks... I want a striker that, you get that, you look at Haaland, you look at Aubameyang previously, obviously Harry Kane. I want a striker that I just feel is born to score goals. And I think he's got that. I think you're born to, you might not be the prettiest, and I think your general play is good, but I think you're born to score goals. And you're 19, you're young and impressionable. You can be here for the foreseeable future. I did click on the initial report people, but you can see that we have been linked with João Paulinho as well as Liverpool. Ramsdale's future is going to be subject to speculation. Let's see if there's any other Arsenal news. No one really cares about that. We've seen that. Oh, Douglas Luiz. City want to go and get Douglas Luiz. Man City are stepping up their interest in Aston Villa Douglas Luiz ahead of the summer window. Apparently, Guardiola believes he has significantly improved in the last 2 years. And apparently, there was a buyback clause, but they didn't take it out. So, yeah, I mean, any player that's linked with City, you're going to want to go there. Luiz is under contract until 2026. So, we got to keep an eye on that because Arsenal have been linked with him. Apparently, Arsenal are to rival PSG for the Sporting Lisbon striker. We've seen that. Apparently, Arsenal also said to be sniffing around Genoa defender Miguel Gutierrez. Manchester United were linked with him over the weekend. Apparently, Real Madrid have the option to re-sign him for just 7 million. Apparently, they're trying to get Alphonso Davies, so that could be something. Arsenal are rivaling United with the Gunners having the advantage of being able to offer Champions League football. It's not set in stone, but you'd imagine we're going to be in the Champions League next year. Apparently, Aaron Ramsdale will be disappointed at being demoted to the second choice at the Emirates. Okay, we know that. Like, of course, why would you want to be happy? Like, okay. Ramsdale's the second choice at Arsenal. I think that the reality is Arteta has always at least privately indicated to Raya that he would be assigned as the number 1 goalkeeper. That puts Ramsdale in a trickier position at the end of the season because he won't want to leave it too long being number 2. Right now, I think Ramsdale is just focused on taking any opportunities. Well, I mean, he knows he's going to play on Saturday because Raya can't play against Brentford because he's technically on loan, but also keeping himself fit and sharp ahead of the Euros to challenge Pickford in some capacity. Pickford will be the number 1 unless he gets injured, but you never know. I think Ramsdale will be slightly disappointed privately because he'll know that he won't be the starting goalkeeper. He won't be the starting goalkeeper as the number 2 at Arsenal. But even if he was number 1 at Arsenal, I still think Pickford probably would have got the nod as the starting goalkeeper at the Euros. That's maybe why Ramsdale's been a bit calmer about not trying to force his way out. Fair enough. And again, we're still being linked with Ivan Toney, people. Sources around the potential deal say the 13-time English champion's interest in the 27-year-old should be taken seriously, and they hope his value can fall below 60 million. I think around 60-odd million is fair value for Ivan Toney, and, he's considering he's got a year left on his deal. Brentford just still make a handsome profit. Spurs, Chelsea, and Man United have also been linked in addition to Arsenal. The same journalist also states that Arsenal could be involved in the race for Napoli striker Viktor Osimhen, who has indicated he wants to move to the Premier League. However, reported wage demands of 300k per week on top of 100 million plus transfer fee could make any deal difficult. So, yeah, I might have to kiss that one goodbye. Obviously, The Athletic have also spoken about the young teenage centre-half Braden Clark. Apparently, we're set to sign him. He has left Wolverhampton Wanderers. He's 16, despite obviously having interest from 4 other clubs. He's chosen us. Apparently, he left Wolves late last year, so he'll join as a free agent with his former club not due any compensation. Damn. That's harsh, especially if he goes on to make it at Arsenal, will be sold on. A second source has confirmed Barcelona have transfer listed Rafinha and Arsenal are ready to pounce, while a report claims the Brazilian might not be the only Barca target. So we've been linked with Rafinha and Ferran Torres once again, 2 players we've previously been linked with. We tried to get Rafinha when he initially went to Barcelona. Since Arteta walked through the door, we was linked with Ferran Torres, probably going back to his City days. I guess they technically, without getting into the player, fill voids that are not in the team at the moment. But I don't really believe it. Rafinha, you look trash, quite frankly, on the left-hand side. And, if you're not bringing, you look better on the right. And obviously that's Saka. If you're not bringing in someone that's double the player Bukayo Saka is, it doesn't make sense. I'd rather Rafinha, but it almost would make more sense to sign Ferran Torres because you can play on the left, play on the right, play centrally, etc. Even though I don't think we get both or any, and obviously Barcelona need to sell. So this is where, they're getting a lot of stuff and probably making this article up. I would definitely not say Rafinha is a greater or superior option to Pedro Neto. I'd rather Pedro Neto. The only thing you could say about Neto is the injury stuff, the fact that he's under a decent contract, and initially Wolves have an 80 million price tag on his head, which I think we all know it's not going to happen. Xhaka's been speaking about, maybe we kept Xhaka, we might be winning the league, really, because there's got to be, maybe it's a coincidence, but he went to Leverkusen, they're fighting for the league. And apparently he's been using the Arsenal pain to remind his teammates that while it looks like they're going to win the league, it's not set in stone. We should be proud of our position, but nothing is won yet. I am speaking from my own experience of last season at Arsenal. We had a similar points advantage. We was top of the table for like 200 odd days. Sad, man. in second and we did not win the league. So I know this experience and I have to share it with the dressing room. 10 points is a lot when you have 10 games left, but there are still 30 points left to take, so it's not over. You'd imagine you've done it, but it's not set in stone, really and truly. Arteta, if you ever want to leave Arsenal, not that I want you to go, Jabi Alonso, let's get this done, man. A man can dream. Let's see what Sky Sports have said about our gossip and rumours. Partey is due to return to the matchday squad. Apparently, Zinchenko and Tomiyasu could make it, but it depends on how they've trained over the weekend. We've all just spoken about Jorginho apparently getting a new contract at Arsenal. Timber's return to training. Mudryk was devastated after the Arsenal move. You tough, right? Hold it up. Arsenal and Juventus see Yildiz priced differently. We've been linked with the teenage Juventus star Kenan Yildiz, who Turkish fans should be really excited about. He's played 13 times for them this season, scoring 1 goal. And he's actually Juventus' youngest ever goal scorer. So there's that. Again, it seems like there's a recruitment for youth talent. Apparently, Chelsea and Arsenal are leading the race for Aberdeen youngster Lewis Carroll. He's a 15-year-old centre-back. Never seen him play before. Turns 16 next month. But if he's good enough, bring him to the carpet. Simple as that, in my opinion. Fabio Vieira has been in the squad for a bit. Once again, Arsenal expected to fend off interest in Carlos Cuesta, Mikel Arteta's 28-year-old assistant from Norwich and other clubs. I mean, if you want to be a manager in your own right, go and get that done. Kyrgios a summer target for AC Milan. Arsenal have been invited to bid for Ivan Toney. Thomas Frank once said, it's relatively obvious that Ivan Toney will probably be sold this summer. We also know what he's worth. I don't think there are many strikers in the world who are better than him right now. He's a really skilled striker who is in his prime footballing age. Personally, as a coach, I prefer to keep Toney, but one day it could be fun to see him on a top team. The winter, we actually had no offers for him, but it would surprise me if there aren't a lot of clubs that'd be interested in him. Tony's also once upon a time said, people, I want to play for a top club. So that appears to be that. Zaha has been linked with a move back to the Premier League. Anyone on that, people? Anybody? Any takers for Zaha? It doesn't read this article. I don't think it's going to say he's interested. Apparently, it said West Ham and Aston Villa inquired about him in January. 31 years of age. Could he be a decent stopgap signing? I'm not sure. You lot let me know your thoughts. And this would be a dream, but apparently Jamal Musiala has refused to sign a new Bayern Munich contract, people. So that's obviously going to put Liverpool, City and all these clubs on high alert. And I would love him at the carpet, really and truly. What a player he is, people. He's got 9 goals and 28 appearances for Bayern Munich in a disappointing campaign. So make of that what you will, folks, really and truly. Let me know your thoughts on everything we've discussed. I don't know why the screen just went off there. And don't forget, people, we're back. We're going to be live later today as well. I'm going to be live at 7 p.m. We're going to begin our watch-along for Sheffield United versus Arsenal. So, yeah, man, hope to see you all there for that. No thanks to both Rafinha and Ferran Torres. Hear that. Pep is probably going to get Musiala. I mean, any player that isn't lured or aroused, by the chance of learning and playing under Pep Guardiola, I think you're crazy. We should be going for any of these under-17 City and Chelsea are interested in. That's good. Any concerns with Ramsdale's sharpness for the Brentford game? We saw him last time, and boy, naturally, because he hasn't played. But I do think, to be fair to Ramsdale, I don't think he was terrible against Liverpool in the FA Cup. I think Reece Nelson should have made sure he got an assist. Obviously, you're probably thinking about the West Ham. I could be wrong, but you're probably thinking about the West Ham game in the Cup. Obviously, Ramsdale could have done better, but, we rotated a lot. It's a mixed match bunch. Obviously, if we're going to play Brentford, assuming nobody's injured and stuff, you'd imagine the back line is going to be the same. Or maybe Kyrgios could come out for a fit Tomiyasu. It's never going to happen, but a fit Timber even, or whatever, really. Or maybe Zinchenko. That is a back 5 or back 4 in front of the goalie of Zinchenko or Tomiyasu, or recent Kyrgios or Benjamin White at right back, and the 2 centre-halves and Gabriel and Saliba. That is more of a typical defensive unit Arsenal fans and Arteta have displayed or been shown. So I think Ramsdale would do a lot better there. To a degree, for all your faults, you're only as good as the people next to you, really and truly. Like Ferguson for a while, but starting to think he's overrated. His return playing for an attacking team like Brighton are not looking good. To be fair, all of Brighton aren't looking good, if I'm honest with you. All right. I can't lie. If we're going for Ferguson, we might as well save bread and see what we have with Mika Bereth. I hear it, but I just think we should get our money for Mika, man. But I'd love a Haylen boy to come through. Douglas Luiz is 100 million rated. What has football come to? Football went out the window a long time ago, and I do think Ferguson should be in no rush to leave Brighton, if I'm honest with you. And I do think, it's not like he's starting week in, week out like that for Brighton. There are times he's on the bench. I wouldn't say he's scoring the most amount of goals and things like that, which I'm not saying that to knock him. He's 19 and I think they're managing him quite well. I would like him a lot, really. But if I share my screen with you, being devil's advocate, if we're just looking for someone that's going to turn us from being a team, for example, that has 80 goals to 100, Ferguson might, but on paper, does he look like someone that could do that? Right now, he's got 6 goals and 1 assist in 25 appearances. You know, he did get a hat, and what, 3 of them came in one game because he got a hat trick against Newcastle, which, unless you already didn't get it, what striker at the club can say you got a hat trick in the Prem for us? 16 goals in 61 appearances, 12 goals in 41 Premier League appearances. He's still learning the tricks and trades of the game. And obviously, he's a young man, and technically it says he was starting right wing here and he came off the bench. But, you know, he scored, went on a 2-week drought, got a hat trick, didn't bag for a number of weeks, then bagged against Fulham. Something happened there against Everton. He weren't in the squad. Then he bagged against Nottingham Forest. Then he's gone on a bit of a dry patch. He did get an assist against Spurs, but he's gone on a dry patch for a minute and he ain't scored for a hot second. He hasn't scored since Nottingham Forest. And I'm not using it again. I'm not knocking him with this, but if you're playing for Arsenal with what we're fighting for and the connotations and all of that jazz, looking at it very differently, especially when you're talking about 100 odd million quid. I would have loved McAllister at the carpet, really and truly, man. But I lost in Liverpool's game. He has been quiet, but all of Brighton, to be fair, Brighton have been rubbish by their own standards, really. So I think that's a bit of tax. As much as I like bantering my Chelsea supporting friends and things like that, I don't think Caicedo's a bad player. I don't think Enzo's a bad player. I don't think Mudrik's a bad player. Yes, you can have your concerns of them individually and say, oh, well, that could have been us. But if everybody in the whole establishment is looking rubbish, what's going on? If the team's shining and 1 or 2 players are looking shaky, then fair play, really and truly. Brighton are still ninth for as much as I'm mocking them. Bringing in Ndidi for El Nene, Elise for Smith Rowe, Tony for Nketiah and the centre back, bring back Tierney and move Zinchenko into midfield. I can hear that, but Ndidi, stay where you are. Like, subscribe, and turn the notification bell on, people. You only appreciate that. There's a very good chance Sarri won't be there at the end of the season. He's very much so in 2 minds about retiring. I hear that. Much respect, Deluded. I think we should sell Nelson and El Nene and Ketty and Cedric should all be sold. Cedric, you don't need to worry. Big up yourself, hey, man. Cedric's contract's running down. Unless Arsenal move crazy, then he's done here. Nelson, it's a weird one because if there's failure to bring in a winger, then I'm on just Nelson staying for the depth. But you're at the point with Nelson, like, I know you love being at Arsenal and things, but for you to really kick on, you probably need to go you either need to look like twice the player and show Arteta that, yo, if Martinelli and Saka are moving shaky, I'm taking someone's spot, which doesn't appear to be the case, or you need to move on, really and truly. But I like Nelson. If we can't bring in a winger, you could stay for a year, really. But you could argue if you bring in a striker, you know, let's just assume we didn't bring in a wide man and you bring in a striker. So you've got your striker now. Yeah, and let's just talk about wingers. Jesus can play out wide. Saka can play out wide. Martinelli obviously plays out wide. Trossard plays out wide. There's that. But you could make a case of moving someone, assuming Kozajubri stays, moving Nelson on. Kozajubri take that kind of spot that you've got. 1 more season for Jorginho. Listen, it's not my money and Jorginho's doing his thing, but if it's 1 more season, and this is why I would love to be a fly on the wall and know exactly the method to, I won't call it madness, but the method to the madness that Arsenal are doing, because if we're keeping him for 1 more year, essentially, because you'd imagine the summer of 2025, we'll bring in another midfielder by this logic, which I agree with. Surely it just makes sense to take out his 1-year extension rather than give him a new deal. Fair enough. If you think he deserves a bit more money and all these things, do what you're doing, really. But with me being an ignorant fan, surely you extend if you want to keep him, you extend that, you take out that option and extend him. And then if a year goes by and we're still waffling about how good Jorginho looks, maybe give him another year or something like that. I keep the same team but swap Jorginho for Smith Rowe. I would love to see Smith Rowe start, man. I hope Arsenal win 3-0. Mika needs a championship loan before we sell. If he bangs there, he could get a serious money or integrated into the side. I don't think he's going to make it at Arsenal, but I'd love for him to do it. Just because, like, you're going to have Gabriel Jesus, Trossard, Havertz. They can all play as false nines. There's all, you know, whether you're a winger or a striker, there's only so many of you could be on the bench. And you've been exposed to first-team football. Who doesn't want a Haaland boy? Well, I know we bought it for Fulham coming through, but yeah, man. Wouldn't put it past Cedric to find a way to stay at the club. Certified finesse. Big him up, man. You're all right. If the league is gone and top 4 is secured, might be a good opportunity to put Smith Rowe and Nketiah and Nelson, even Ramsdale in the shop window. We're going to need big fees for this world-class striker. I hear that, but you would imagine, obviously you need to sell. Like, a business has to be running a certain way, but you would imagine to a degree where that big ticket item striker is concerned, what we get via sales to a degree should be irrelevant. Ramsdale last time against Brentford was spooky. I hear it, man. Let's just hope he could do a thing today, man. Tony hype, good player, but overrated. Feel like he'd suit Chelsea. I think he could do a job. I think there's no I'm not saying you or criticizing, but I think with Ivan Tony, there's no in between. You know, I think he'll be a good player. I think he'll play. I like his mentality. I think he score goals. I think, you know, in a better team, a more attacking team, he'll do a lot. Premier League proven. You know, he's got the urgency because of his age, all of that stuff. But then there are some that I feel are putting him on a bracket that he's not really like. He's not going to be the Messiah like that. And then there's some that move like Tony's rubbish, if I'm honest. If he had a Brazilian last name or something, you lot can see I'm not really against many strikers coming into this club. I wouldn't mind Osimhen. I wouldn't mind Vlahovic because Arteta wanted him. Wouldn't be against Ivan Toney. Really like Sesko, but I kind of would want to go for the Osimhens and them kind of guys. I like all of them, but I don't think there's a striker that I like the Sporting lad as well. But I don't think there's a striker that 100% convinces me as a football fan that, yeah, there's no question marks. You're going to do the thing. Hopefully the club have, because you'd imagine, you know, whoever this striker is going to be, it's got to be tied up already, or there's got to be some serious talks already. So who knows? 1 year could be enough to find a good replacement for Jorginho. Question is, who is this world-class striker? I don't know. How many world-class strikers are on the market? Like world-class. You could count Mbappe, but we all know his thing is off the left. Haaland, I would say. There's obviously some others, but, you know, Kane, I would say. And regardless of what he's doing at Bayern Munich or how they're facing. But how many world-class strikers are there? There's a lot of good ones. The Scandinavian market could be something really and truly. We've got Odegaard. Get on the phone to, you know, tell Odegaard to call his national team gaffer. Speak to people who do the coaching stuff, and let's see what other players, you know. I don't care if people from Scandinavia, Europe, Africa, South America, the Caribbean, the Americas, Europe, you know, wherever. Just find the best players, man. I'd go either Sesko, who has a reported 42.5 million release clause, or Osimhen, whose release clause is said to be around 100 to 105 million. Would love to see us go big for Zubamendi and Diamande. Diamande be lit because he could play right back as well. You could save Benjamin White's legs. If you've got Diamande, Timber, and Tomiyasu, they can all play across the defense. I'm probably dream chasing a bit, but bringing that young lad Hato from Ajax, or at least agree a deal for him and say, you know what, you stay at Ajax for a year, get more season, then we take it from there. The striker discourse amongst Arsenal fans is crazy. No middle ground. Every striker we're linked with is either the best ever or a complete bum. I hear it. Thanks for all the hard work you do every day for us, fans. See you tonight for the watch along. Appreciate that, man. I don't know how to react to that. Just my guy, man. My guy. Big up you lot, man. I'm just a man of the people, man. I'm the face of the platform and a sexy haircutted face at that. But you lot are the engine room. I'm like Saka, not taking anything from Saka. I'll score the bangers and I get the headlines. You lot are the Declan Rice. This is why I need you lot to smash the like button, subscribe, boost the YouTube algorithm. And on that, though, people, closing statements. As the big man just said there, we will be watching Sheffield United versus Arsenal together. We kick off at 8 p.m. UK time. So I'll be live from 7 p.m. UK time. So, yeah, join me for that. I'm going to try and get an Arsenal show tomorrow. Well, tomorrow. So Tuesday, rather than do a watch along for you lot, I'll do that. Wednesday, we'll probably do a watch along for Real Madrid Leipzig. And then, we do whatever content we can. And then we watch Arsenal Brentford together. And we watch Liverpool City together. And we keep it moving, people. You lot know the schedule. So, turn on your notification bells. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you're following. Get in the habit of following on Twitter, following on Instagram, following on Snapchat. All of this stuff is there. Checking out the YouTube community tab, because as much as I tell you lot to hit the notifications, you lot say a lot of the time it's doing you lot dirty. So I'm giving you lot the path to success. These are the non-negotiables, people, man. And JJ, chill. Yeah, galley thing, but yeah, man. Appreciate that. Riley, appreciate that. And for my Football Manager heads, this week's been a bit mad. I'm actually locked out of my Steam account. I'm trying to get it back. So that's why you haven't seen them streams. But yeah, man, we're working hard. We're trying to get to 70,000 by the end of the year. So yeah, man, I don't know how time's flown this much. It doesn't feel like we've spoken about much, but it's always great to be here with you lot. So let me leave you lot to enjoy what's left of your morning, afternoon, evening, or night. And I'll see you lot in a couple of hours, people. Take care of yourselves. Bless.